What's up, you guys? What is going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. Everybody is well rested and all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Man, the year is moving along. We're at the end of March. We're like at the end of March, you guys. Crazy how time flies. It is. I was just actually thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, man, just thinking about even like over the past 6 months of things and just moving along, moving along. It's almost Christmas time. It's almost Christmas time. I'm just playing. Well, it actually kind of is if you think about it. I mean, because they start putting stuff in the stores, what, in August now, July, end of July, they start putting Christmas stuff in stores. So, I mean, we're getting there pretty close to Christmas, right? Season. I know you guys don't want to hear that. I know many people are like, don't remind me. Don't remind me. But it's facts. It's facts. So we're at day 23 of Operation Epic Fury. Is it going to end? Is it going to end? Is the question. It don't sound like it is. I mean, not no time soon, right? It doesn't sound like anytime soon that it is going to end. I don't even think there's really been much progress made because from last week it was told to us that they've been decimated, but yet this stuff is still happening. There's still bombs and missiles and all sorts of things going on. I don't see how anything is decimated if things are still occurring like they are. So actually, let me let's pull up some stuff here in a minute and see how. Give a little update. Trump actually, you know what? Actually, first, before I do that, Trump actually just got done having a press conference, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit late today. Trump just got through having a press conference at the White House um, for the swearing in of the new Secretary of Homeland Security. So that just happened he just wrapped that up about 10 minutes ago, 10, 15 minutes ago. So I'll pull that up and we can get caught up on that a little bit and see what's happening. Let's do that. Let's pull that up and see what's going on. See what Trump is saying with the Secretary of Homeland Security, the swearing in ceremony of that. Swearing in ceremony. Like I said, he just got done.
The country, and I tell you, your family has to be very proud. You have to be very proud. Absolutely. Everybody wanted this job. I said, there's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Pam. Come on over. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Mark Wayne Mullen. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
Look at his pink tie.
Bear true faith to allegiance.
Got a pink tie on.
And that I take this obligation freely.
Take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully. Discharge the duties of the office. On which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Secretary.
Hey.
Thank you. I think
All right,
that's the
here we
most
go.
nervous I've ever been. I don't, it just seems surreal being in the Oval Office and having the President of the United States speak so highly of me and then recognize my family and know my family by name. It's humbling. And I never take it for granted, but I made this very clear that I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same. And we will do that. I'll fight every single day. Today, I got the privilege of meeting so many of the employees at DHS. These employees have been there for 30 days without pay. And if you need anything to know their dedication to show up and still protect the homeland that you and I enjoy and the freedoms that we're experiencing, they're working with for free because of political politics. That's all I need to know. I told them, as you're fighting 365 days, understand I'll be fighting 365 days beside you. No one's going to outwork me, and I'm not going to let any of them outwork me. The president has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
Thank you very much. I love that expression. No one's going to outwork me. That's a wrestler's expression, isn't it? Huh? That's a good wrestler's expression. Yes, please.
Mr. President, will the Secretary's replacement in the Senate support the SAVE Act and the use of the talking filibuster to get it through?
Well, it's not the SAVE Act. It's not called this. It's called the Save America Act. There's a big difference because the SAVE Act, nobody knows what that means. Save America means Save America. And I can't speak for him, but I would imagine that Mark Wayne, I didn't even ask him the question because who wouldn't support it? Voter ID with a picture. You want citizenship, proof of citizenship. Ideally, you want to end mail-in ballots because there's tremendous corruption. Then we added a couple of things, Mark Wayne, like I don't think being a great athlete and having a family of great athletes, they have produced great athletes in this family, all-American wrestlers. They especially like wrestling, by the way. And what about baseball? Do you play baseball? Anything? They like wrestling. But I don't think that you would say that his family, and I don't know this for a fact, and I shouldn't say it because I could get myself. Does anybody in your family want men to play in women's sports? I don't think so, Jim, right? I don't think so. I don't think. How would they do? Would they do good wrestling you? They would be in trouble? He said, yes, they'd be in big trouble. It's so crazy. So that would be one. And then we have a few others that we call them the best of Trump. But if you look at transgender mutilization of children, we don't want that. It's the mutilization of children. We don't want that. So generally speaking, I think I can answer that Mark Wayne would be very much in favor of what I'm in favor of. Would you say that's right, Mark? I can't think of too many things. He might be worse. He might be worse than me. That's my look at his wife is saying. That's right. But so, yeah, he's going to be great. Yeah.
Do you believe the Secretary will run DHS any differently than Kristi Noem did? What do you hope to see as his priorities?
Well, we had a good run. Look, we created the strongest border with the help of that man right there. Tom is so incredible, and he's going to be a big influence here too. There's nobody more professional, nobody better. There's nobody better as a human being. You know, he looks tough, but he's got a good heart, but not too good. Don't make it too good. But you know, we had Tom. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have a lot of assets, but a lot of things we can do, and we're going to do. We have to get criminals out of our country that were allowed in by Biden. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support what appears to be emerging agreement coming out of the Senate to reopen DHS?
Well, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans, and you know, sometimes it's awfully hard to get votes when you have Democrats that don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. They don't want to do anything about men playing in women's sports. That's one of the items we put on, you know. And I did that just because it's so popular. You know, they say that's at least an 80-20 issue. No, it's about a 99-1. I don't think it's, what do you think, Pete? Do you think it's 80-20? Who's closer, 80-20 or 99-1?
Almost 100.
Yeah, I think 100 is really the, so, you know, so I support that, and I support common sense.
Would you be comfortable with a deal that involves separating ICE funding from the DHS funding package in order to reopen?
Well, they're working on all of that. You know, that's a detail that they'll explain later. Please.
integrity and DHS measures, Mr. President, since CISA falls under DHS, and given that many credible voices have raised concerns over its premature and possibly likely faulty 2020 election assessment, will you and Secretary Mullen implement reforms at CISA and at DHS to ensure full confidence in future elections, like in the upcoming?
About it. We'll talk about it. You know, pros and cons. Look, they used it to try and put me in prison, right? So I can't be thrilled with it. They use that very strongly, very illegally. The Democrats are thugs, and I don't want to say that. It'd be nice to everyone get along, but it's a different country than it was years ago. It was very dangerous the way they used it, and they weaponized government. They used that to weaponize government. So I'm not thrilled, but I'll also go along with two groups of people: the military, and I think the military likes it, right? And I'll go along with the senators. I'm fine. But I was a big victim of it. Yeah, please.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations as it turned out. And now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. They're pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing that's doing well? You know, if you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran, the city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something
the
that
fact
happened?
that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
Your
weapon?
former Border Patrol chief, Greg Bovino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol chief. He just retired.
Well, I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed from prisons all over the world. They came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people, really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He's, would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people, and many are self-deporting because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting. So I'm going back. I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
What's your message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck in airports? Is really devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
For Americans right now stuck in airports as we speak because Democrats won't.
Well,
fund
they
DHS.
just don't. They won't. Look, this is a deal that was done in the great big beautiful deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you buy a car, you take money, pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars. if it's an American car, only if it's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible, terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr., but they don't vote. Rand Paul, I mean, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement. But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy. Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy that you can imagine. And so whether they stick together or not, I mean, they have just this terrible policy. We have great policy. Republicans have great policy. We have common sense policy, but it's great policy. That's our biggest advantage, is our policy is correct. Yeah, please.
President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means. 101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down, and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea. And pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting are the coolest cucumbers ever. You know, most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this, and not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here. And amazing, just watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, you know, because these were powerful. These were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people choke. They don't choke. These guys don't choke. They're the best in the world. We have the best in the world. Yeah.
Mr. President, what would be your message today to the TSA agents who have been staying home in recent days amid this impasse?
Well, some of them are needing money, you know, because the Democrats cut off their money. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them, you know, they didn't get paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem. In fact, I actually said to the Senate, why would you say this is a Democrat problem? I think the polls are showing us a Democrat problem. And they'll do anything actually to hurt our country so they can try and win the midterms. And if we ever went back to our old policies, we wouldn't have a country left.
If they get a deal, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, to fund all but enforcement operations of ICE, to get those TSA agents repaid and to open up the rest of the department, would you sign that?
Well, I don't want to comment until I see the deal, but as you know, they're negotiating a deal. I guess they're getting fairly close, but I think any deal they make, I'm pretty much not happy with it. These guys came in, they wouldn't pay people. You know, they had a deal to pay. They had to break their deal. The Democrats broke the deal that we had. It was all done. Everything was fine. And then they just said, well, we're not going to pay anymore. And the They hurt our country, and at a very difficult time because we are at, as they would say, a war. They call it a war. I call it a military operation, a very successful one, like successful like nobody's ever seen before. Hey, Venezuela was equally as successful. That was a great thing. No, the Democrats had a deal. It was a done deal, and then they said, "Well, we're not going to pay," and so a lot of people suffered over that, and put our country in danger. You have another question? You haven't been here in a while.
Well, Iran, can you give us any more sense of who exactly in Iran it is, either Woodcock,
Well,
Kushner, and others
look,
you're speaking with?
Yeah, we had. I hate to say this in front of these young people. They're not children. I spoke to most of them. They sound like adults to me, even though they are sort of children, right? They'll always be your children. But I hate to say it, but we killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that. But let's see how they turn out. We have really regime change. This is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with that created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust. But I don't trust anyone. Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. And it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone, as the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum, racked up pretty good. And everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone. But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out. And the present, the gift they made to us was very significant. And they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of?
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the strait. Yeah, it was.
Are you negotiating on who's going to control the strait from now on?
No, we'll have control of anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list, but again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons. They're not going to have, and they're not going to have enrichment, any of those things. But look, I hate to say that we're in a very good bargaining position, and I hate to say that they're defenseless because, until that last missile is fired, they have little power. But we are in about the best bargaining position. We're way ahead of schedule. And again, they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no missile protection, and most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launchers we've killed. We've killed about 82% of their launchers. So even if they had a missile, they can't launch it. We've been very fast. We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody even comes close. We have the best military equipment in the world. Go ahead.
On Saudi Arabia, there's been some reporting that you've been talking to the Crown Prince. Have you been focused on normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel?
Oh, no, we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. What do you hear with Saudi Arabia?
Just hearing that you've been talking and that he has been encouraging you to do certain things related to Iran. Can you share?
Well, he's a warrior. He does. Yeah, he's a warrior. He's fighting with us, by the way. Saudi Arabia has been excellent, and UAE, excellent. And I will tell you, Qatar, incredible. Qatar took a hit, pretty bad hit. Qatar is very close. You know, they're essentially, you can walk right over the border. Qatar took a hit. They've been great. They've been very strong. Kuwait, they had a little mishap. They shot down 3 planes with our missiles. They happen to be our planes, but the pilots made it. Can you imagine the pilots making it? The pilots saw what was coming. And they said, those are patriots. We're not going to escape patriots. And they got out of there pretty quick, Pete, right? Pretty amazing that they got out. The 3 pilots lived. They're fine. In fact, they're flying today.
Was the Kuwaitis that accidentally fired the missile?
Yeah, the Kuwaitis made a mistake. They fired. They thought they were firing at the enemy. It was, as the expression goes, friendly fire. But the pilots are great. They're flying today. Pretty amazing when you think of it. Yeah.
President Trump, on a human level, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out? Like as a human,
On what?
on a human level, not as the president of the United States, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. You know, I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated. You know, we killed their Navy in, would you say 3 days, Pete? Gone. In fact, I was a little upset with Pete. I said, why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He said, it's more fun shooting them down. But the Navy was wiped out in a very rapid order. Pretty impressive for you guys, you champion wrestlers, right? When you hear this stuff. But you don't, if you read the news, you don't hear this. You know, you read like, oh, they're doing wonderfully. They're doing terribly. They're wiped out militarily. They are dead. Yeah.
On Ukraine, is there a new sense of a timeline? Do you want to get something done before the midterms?
Well, we'd like to see President Putin and President Zelensky sit down and make a deal. I think they're getting close, but I've been saying that for a while. I've settled 8 wars. All of them should have been more difficult than this one. This should have been the easiest one. But these are 2 people that truly hate each other. You'll find out that hatred is not good for making deals. These are people that they don't like each other very much. Yeah.
I know you said there's a bunch of people from the administration who are negotiating with Iran. There's been reports that the vice president is leading those negotiations. Is that true?
Well, he's involved in them. JD is involved, and Marco's involved, and Jared Kushner's involved, very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved, and I'm involved. I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the president of the United States, Tom, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk. They were right there. I don't know why, but if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration. Said, no, we obliterated it, just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it, and they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel. And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, but so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war. How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job, Mark West? Can we take some of your time?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern navy, a modern air force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interest of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability. And that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. You know, the only two people that were quite disappointed, I don't want to say this, but I have to. I said, Pete and General Raisin Kane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled. It's these guys are doing a great job. That's a good attitude, though, Tom, right? They were not interested in settlement. They were interested in just winning this thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you, just taking things locally, hopefully not doing international affairs for a second, do you support the construction of the 2nd Avenue subway in New York City and will your administration?
Wow, absolutely. Far out. You know, the 2nd Avenue subway is being under construction for, you're a young guy, is longer than you are old, okay? That's been under construction. I haven't heard about the 2nd Avenue subway in 20 years. What the hell kind of a question is that? I guess they got to get it finished. They spent trillions of dollars practically. No, they spent more money on that than on anything, I think, in the history of our city, in New York City. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's very sad, actually. The only thing maybe worse was Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, his train, I call it his train wreck because it's a wreck. That's been years. It's literally 30 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it doesn't go to San Francisco and Los Angeles like it was supposed to. They decided to cut it way short because there was no way they could finish it. But it's one of the worst. I've never seen anything like it other than the worst, the Federal Reserve building for almost $4 billion, little building that's going to cost a renovation for $4 billion, headed by our highly incompetent head of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, would you be open, are you hoping to see the Senate pursue Reconciliation 2.0 to fund ICE and pass the State of America?
Well, we'll see about reconciliation. We're certainly talking about reconciliation, I think, Mark Wayne, right? Do you want to talk about that for a second? Now that he's working, we can get him to do this.
Thank you. Lindsey Graham, the chairman where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly backfilling from the One Big Beautiful Bill, but also more importantly, the Save American Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save American Act. I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way. And I believe that everybody wants election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation, he's willing to put the framework out for that.
And I think that was said so beautifully, so concisely, so well, your father, that we should let him have the last word, and that was it. That was the last word. Did he do a good job? Are you impressed with your father?
Never been more impressed with anybody in my life.
How about me? Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. No, you like your father better, okay? Come here. Look at this guy. Come here. This guy, don't wrestle him. We'll seal over here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank the family, because without the family, he's not here. You know, he's a different person. And that goes especially for Mom, who looks like she's about 22 years old. I don't know. I see these kids, but she looks very young. But it's a great couple. Congratulations to you both. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thanks. Come on in.
Okay, so that's the end of that. That was supposed to be a swearing in of what's his face for the new secretary position, and it seemed like it was more about the war, the accomplishments, or whatever you want to say. It seemed like it was more about the war, what's happening. Again, you heard him say that everything was wiped out in the first 3 days. That they have nothing left, but yet again, Israel or Iran just did a major strike on Israel. What was it, yesterday? And also, with that said, the 82nd Airborne has just been deployed to go overseas to the Middle East. Obviously, I've been gone over the weekend, so I haven't been able to catch up on every single thing regarding the war and what's happening, but it's still at the same place where it was last week. There doesn't seem to be any improvement of what's going on, what's taking place, and where we're at. So again, it's confusing if you ask me. It does not add up. Is not making sense. Just as Israel has no right to complain about Iran. Not sure what that was about. By the way, good morning to everybody who's just tuning in, or good morning. Not morning. Good afternoon, late afternoon, some places, going on 3:30 and 4 o'clock in some places. So good afternoon. Again, I'm late. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Share this out. Please like and subscribe to the page. Continuing to bring you news from around the world, boots on the ground. So, yeah. It'd be nice to have some clarity of what is really happening with this conflict. Like I said, there's missiles still that are being flown, hitting Israel. The tensions are still there. The fighting is going on. But then on one hand, you hear Trump talk about how everything is okay. It's we're in charge. We say when the war is over. So, yeah, it's the Strait of Hormuz is still going on. All sorts of it hasn't ended. I know that. Yeah, it's beyond dangerous. And I understand war. I understand tactics. I understand being wise in all this type of stuff, but at the expense of this, it just seems like we're being lied to. We're just, the whole Bovino thing got brought up during that little. Again, that thing was supposed to be a swear-in thing for the new, for Secretary of Homeland Security, and it seemed
It's
like
been a long time.
It seemed like it was something
Must
else.
be something.
It sure didn't seem like it was a swearing in for the Homeland Security position. I mean, he got up there for a couple minutes, and that was it. You know, questions about Bovino and was asked about deportations, and it's hard for Trump to probably speak on that because I personally believe that whole thing came to an end. I don't think we have mass deportations going on any longer. Why? Do we know the answers? I don't know. So there's so much things, and that's the problem with news. It's just a nonstop 72-hour cycle. There's something always breaking. So once that new thing breaks, we done forgot about what happened Friday. Like that's out of our memory bank. You know, we forgot what happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago because there's so much stuff. I mean, here we are with TSA, right? We're having problems at the TSA airports and 5-hour waits for people to fly because there's so much stuff nonstop coming in. We just forget, and we're overloaded with information and new stuff and things that impact our lives, things that are going on in the world. We just end up forgetting, or we don't pay attention. We think about it in the moment, and then it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, and we move on to the next breaking story, right? I mean, that's honestly what happens. It it's actually what happens. You know, here this was from this morning, right? Where was this even at? Houston Airport lines this morning. Crazy stuff. Just people lined up, waiting to go to get on planes. Look at this. So now we have live stream cams in the airports for lines and TSA lines. You got to wait in this line here in order to get to your TSA line. So the whole fast pre-check-in stuff ain't happening right now. It's not happening. You're waiting in line. So now we have live cams in the airports, only a select few of them because it's the ones that are impacted most, like New Orleans, Houston area, Chicago, stuff like that, which is where the agents got sent to. Yeah, a lot of stuff happening. Just I'd be heated. Like, what do you? People are having to show up for 5 hours ahead of their flights, and probably most of that time is waiting in line. Waiting in line. And regarding like the agents, and I don't know what they're doing. What are they actually doing at the airports to help? I don't know. But Trump sent them in. Maybe it's crowd control. Could be crowd control. It possibly could be that. I mean, when you have this mess going on, it possibly very well likely could be just a crowd control sort of situation. But it's hard to tell, right? It's very hard to tell. And then you have right here in this footage here, this live stream camera, again, which was from earlier this morning. They stopped the stream, Houston Airport. And is it upstairs connecting to the downstairs? Right? I don't. There's a lot of questions. Again, this is Houston Airport this morning. At some point, look, lines upstairs, lines to the side, lines downstairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 aisles of walking back and forth. And who knows how even far this goes. Looks like Black Friday. Yeah, it does. So, like I said, the news cycle is never ending. I saw Mohammed in here, and that's a good question. I wondered that myself. That's a very good question. Why is Israel allowed to get a nuclear weapon, but Iran is not allowed to get one? I personally don't think that anyone needs a nuclear weapon. That's my opinion. I don't understand why anyone actually needs a nuclear weapon. That includes Iran. That includes Israel. Why does anybody need a nuclear weapon that, especially us as human beings, know what damage that can cause? Why have it? Okay, is it like a temptation? Like who's going to do it first? Is that what it is for the nuclear weapons? I don't personally understand it. So in regards to your question, I don't know why one can have it and not the other. I do not know that. I don't know why. So I can't fairly answer your question. All I can say is like I don't think that anybody should have, no countries, no government should, from what I see or know about the nuclear weapons, I don't think anybody should have them. So I can only go off of that. I don't understand why we need a nuclear weapon. Why does America, United States, need a nuclear weapon? Do we want to wipe somebody out? Yeah, I don't understand the whole nuclear weapon stuff. So it's an area where I'm not well versed in. I'll just say that, or have much knowledge in. It might be a question for someone else. But speaking of that, that topic that you just mentioned, I found this to be interesting. Have your thoughts and opinions about this. You guys are welcome to talk about it. I can find where it's at again. It looks like, and did I lose the? I might have lost it. Might have lost it. I think I lost it, but I'll find it in just a moment. I'll find it in just a moment. There it is. So I found this to be interesting. What are your guys' thoughts? Mondati was he's been going around New York, different parks, and with different people and places. He's been leading the city's male population in prayer almost daily. So probably a call to prayer. He is Muslim. They've been taken to public spaces where Muslims and women have been gathered and they're praying out in the public. But he is an official. So I just wonder your guys' thoughts on that. I'll show you the footage of it. You guys can see it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is such an honor to be here with all of you on this blessed day. I want to say thank you to the Brooklyn Islamic Center.
Of reflections and say, brothers and sisters, after Ramadan,
Eid Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is such an honor to.
What's your guys' thoughts on that? What's your guys' thoughts? Mondati going, out in the public. I'm not sure if he's actually the one holding the call to prayers or whatever, but definitely participating in them. What's your guys' opinions and thoughts on that? Someone said, where's the separation of church and state? Yeah. My question is, and it's a tough one, right? Here's a tough one. Here's a tough one because what do you say about a president doing it, or a elected official going to a Christian rally, right? I mean, I'm not even going to say conservative because that's not a faith. A Christian rally and praying, or participating. Is it the same thing as what Mamdadi's doing? Is it the same sort of thing? If I think years ago Trump went to, what was it? March for Life, is that the same sort of thing? I mean, that has to do with humanity, actually, more than anything else, right? That has to do with humanity of abortion and children. But here you have this, he's out in the park, the Muslim thing, prayer. Is that okay for him to do? So just curious, just want to know, just thoughts. And again, being fair and with the Constitution, because the Constitution is what? Freedom of religion. Can't feel responsible for a city that allows itself to be taken over by Muslim extremists. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. What's yeah, I mean, he can pray, he can't force you to pray to Allah. Now I want to clarify something with, because I had someone say this to me this past weekend on a tweet. And I'm not Muslim. I'm not Muslim. But I just want to for clarity and understanding on things. Simply put, okay, Allah, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, in terms of context, the word Allah simply means God. Okay, that's all it means. I know people get triggered by the word Allah. I understand it. I understand in our culture, our society in the West, why some people get, but at simple terms, Allah in Arabic just means simply God. Okay. That's what it means. In English language, it means God. So in Allah in Arabic language is God. So us translating it, we're just saying God. That's as simple as it is. Now, when you start to go past that and other things, that's a whole nother other topics. But just at base level, Arabic, if I was to speak Arabic, I'd say Allah, God, in American English language. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that just for clarification. Yeah. That's fine for High to go to one, but to close this whole city down several days at a time isn't right. Okay. Gotcha. They seem more concerned about Muhammad. Right. And when they say Allah, they mean God, not Jesus. That is absolutely correct. So that's some of our difference. There's a difference because a lot of times when we say God in America, we are referring, or sometimes we're referring to Jesus. Some people don't exactly know and just say God. So there's some things with that as well. They should use it when they hurt people physically, and we shouldn't use it when we hurt others. Is that referring to the nuclear weapons, Kale? Is that what you're referring to? They shouldn't use it when they hurt people physically. and we shouldn't use it when we hurt others. Muhammad says they could have built it a long time ago, but they found it going against the religion of Islam. And besides, the leader they killed wouldn't allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon since it's inhumane and un-Islamic. So you're saying the former Ayatollah wouldn't even allow the Iran government, including himself, whatever, to have a nuclear weapon? Is that what you're saying, Mohammed? If that's the case, then why was there a nuclear plant that Trump and the administration hit back in October that we were supposed it was knocked out, it was wiped out, Operation Hammer or whatever it was called, that operation, supposedly we wiped it out. So was there a nuclear plant facility going on, or was there not? Based off what you're saying, Mohammed, is that the Iranian people cannot have a weapon according to the Ayatollah, but according to the US, we hit Operation Hammer, Midnight Hammer, whatever it was called, and we knocked it all out, which it doesn't seem like it was knocked out, according now to what they're saying. So what is it? What is it? What is it? Karen says, I don't believe that. Are you referring to the operation that we knocked it all out? Possibly. Because that's what we're being told now. We're being told that it was knocked out. We're being told that this whole thing back in was it October, Operation Hammer, Midnight Hammer, whatever. We took out the big old bombers going through the ground and knocking out everything, and we wiped it all out. Mission complete. Successful mission. We came in, we snuck in, did the thing, and out. Everything was fine, and yada yada yada. And now we're talking about that we're still hitting nuclear spots. Maybe it's I don't know. Israel wanted regime change in Iran. Propaganda. This is true. This is also a true story, a true fact. I think they're allowed to sin if it serves Islam. Iranians are dancing in the street. Why? Because they were oppressed. I don't believe Iran wouldn't build nuclear bombs. Their nuclear program is purposely to generate energy and help in their health centuries. All right. That's what it's for. And see, here's the problem right here with what Muhammad is saying. This is where lies the problem. How can I say this? This is where lies the problem of a disconnect somewhere, and us being here, people overseas being there, and people overseas not living here, us not living overseas. We hear news, they hear news, and there's only a select amount of people, maybe the 1%, maybe the 1% that only know really what's going on and really what the truth is, right? Because for me to sit here and say and believe what's on the news, black and yellow, for me to sit here and believe what's on the news and not live or experience or be in another country or place it's hard to speak on. It's hard to speak on. It really is. It's hard to speak on, and not if you're not living in another place. Because all you get is news, all you get is reports. You don't get a full story. You might not even get full depth or detail or anything like that. We're just going off stories, what we think, what we know, what we've heard. Um, so I think it gets hard. I think because we live in a time now where it as sad and as bad as it is, you have to question everything. You have to question almost even to the motives, to intentions, to the thoughts, if it's true, if it's not true, how do we get to the truth, tell the full story? And people don't want to do that. Right. You can't believe mainstream media. Yeah, I 100% you can't believe mainstream media. 100% can't believe it, which is sad. Only believe what you see, not always what you hear. I tend to go along with that more. But see, then again, even with that though, my friend, what if you only see a small piece of something, right? What if you only see a small piece? So, then there's that, we were taught that we were biased and urged to be too accepting, in my honest opinion. I agree. We were taught that in America, because America is like that. So we are taught, and because of our culture, which I don't think America really has a culture, but the society in America has taught us that we were taught that we were biased and urged to be too accepting because our home is a free nation. Anybody can come here, including any religion. And Mohammed, if you're still on here, you know that within Iran, I was going to say your country, but in Iran, that it is not open to any and all religions like America is. We believe here, then this is good. We believe what is coming out of the administration. And that's true. It don't matter which administration, we believe that more than anything. So whatever, if we're on the right, we're believing what Trump says. If we're on the left, we're believing what any left president says. That's how it goes. The West spent 47 years cooking this propaganda and painting Iran black. So the level hatred they made people got on the Iranian government, I don't think you'll understand anything. I understand more than you know. I understand things. But again, regarding religion, that's what I was asking you. Other religions, like how America has the freedom of religion, like how you could be here, I could be here, someone who practiced Hinduism could be here. Iran doesn't allow that freedom, correct? America's culture is cancel culture. We are well known for that. I don't think it's I don't think it's a cancel culture. It has turned into that because of politics and the focus on politics. That's why everybody's saying, "Well, this is evil and they're good and they're good and they're evil," because of the level of politics, and because it's almost politics have turned into like a somehow a god religious good versus evil thing. Um, and so you have a war within politics that's never been seen before. But I don't think it's America is a cancel culture, at least the foundations of America, even 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I'll say like more like 20 years ago. It started becoming cancel culture about 15 years ago. Facebook is blocking people for like 30 days, 90 days, sometimes 6 months for saying something. I was on that blacklist. That was not fun. Um, you got a 30-day suspension for what? You said hate. What? Really? Like, okay. You got 90-day suspension. So, I mean, cancel culture started happening probably around then, about 2010. Um, Safe spaces, right? It wasn't really happening before that, I don't think. Um, but yeah, so Facebook jail was always fun. No, it was not. It was the worst. I'm not going to lie. It's the worst. Facebook jail was horrible. It was horrible. It was nothing to laugh about at all. It was nothing to laugh about. That thing hurt. I am 64 years old. I have heard the same thing about Iran for most of my life. Now, is that what are you referring to what Mohammed said here about the US or the West spent 47 years cooking this propaganda and painting it black? Is that what you're referring to? I've probably have been suspended on Facebook for, I'd say, total about 2 years. About 2 years I've been suspended on Facebook if I add it all together. I had 2 or 3 that were 3 months. I had several month ones. I think I might have had a 6-month one, like 6 month. And I could be mistaking a 6-month for a couple of the 3 months. But yeah. That was not fun. 'Cause I wasn't using X or Twitter at the time or anything like that. Um yeah. So let me see. Let me see. I just was wondering about Mandati praying out in the public square like that. Like I said, a lot of people say separation of church and state. If that's the case, then we got to be fair that would also mean um that would also mean it'd have to be the same way for conservatives, Republicans, right? It'd have to be the same sort of thing. Iranian Americans, for the most part, support liberation from Iran's authoritative regime. Yes. And I think Mohammed talked about that a couple weeks ago on a Sunday. I did a show. He talked about what you just mentioned there. Karen? The Western religion sexualizes women. It does. And our religion encourages modesty, which is true. But it's not forced on the women like the way the Western media made it look. Elaborate. And I do agree with their first sentence there. You can see it in a lot of lukewarm churches. Even lukewarm worship bands. You can still see it. So I agree with your and I do know that modesty is practiced, which modesty is also talked about in the Holy Bible, the Holy Scriptures. It's talked about, and I'm sure it's talked about within the Quran as well. So I do agree with you, but I don't what's the part about, but it's not forced on the women like the way the Western media made it look. You got to elaborate on that one. Got to elaborate. What did the Western media make it look like that is separate than from what happens? Because there's women in America that you can see that practice the faith of, if you want to say Islam, that the only thing that you can see is their eyeballs. So that's not really media if you actually see it with your own eyes. And how far do you take modesty? Right? I understand the veils. I understand what the head covering is, the glory. I understand long sleeves. I understand being covered down to the ankles. I get all that. Right? I understand that. But now we're talking about just only eyeballs. Because I mean, if we want to get to that point, looking in the eyes goes into the soul. And I know within the faith of, if I'm not mistaken, Muslim religion, a woman isn't supposed to even look at another man, correct? And I understand that. I get that as well, right? I get that as well. Do you know Israel has been teaching their people the Iranian languages, making them look like Iranians, and they promote propaganda online? Do you know Israel has been teaching their people the Iranian languages, making them look like Iranians, and they promote propaganda online? No, I didn't know that. But what's wrong with learning another language though? Is that like forbidden? They talk like if a man is attracted to a woman, the woman is being a harlot. I don't I don't know. Some Catholic women wear veils. Yep. Correct. Modesty is not encouraged in the US. My daughter and I have a hard time finding decent clothes for her. She doesn't want to dress like a hooker like many girls do. Yeah. America culture does not promote modesty for women whatsoever. It's very difficult, but there's places out there you can find modesty clothes, but you're not going to find them in your everyday stores. And modesty also goes for men too. It's not just a woman thing; it's for men too. It's just more. Yeah, the two cultures aren't compatible, says Karen. Let me look. Let's see some stuff regarding, since we're talking about Iran, Israel, America, the war. Let's see. Gregory says that Putin has already delivered a terrifying ultimatum to Netanyahu. If Israel declares to use a nuclear weapon, here we go again, in the Middle East, Russia will drop a nuclear weapon on Israel. The U.S. has no idea what it just walked into. What is this about? See, this was March 22nd. What's the date? Is the date the 23rd or the 22nd? Today's the 24th. So this happened Sunday. This happened Sunday.
Listen to the rhetoric. I'm ready for peace now. We've made our... There's a complete failure to understand that Gaza is the catalyst for the larger war that's now going to begin against Israel. Every Muslim country is going to come on board against Israel, along with Russia, along with China. I'd be surprised if Mr. Putin doesn't make it very clear to Mr. Netanyahu that if he contemplates using a nuclear weapon, he needs to understand something. If you do this, if you use a nuclear weapon against Iran or anyone in the Middle East, we will use a nuclear weapon against you. I'd be very surprised if he has not already said that. We don't understand what we've walked into because we're not informed. We still think this is 1991. Listen to the rhetoric. I'm ready for peace now. We've made our point. We hope the Iranians understand us and will make peace. Have you lost your mind? The war is now just beginning.
Yes, it's not the beginning of the end. It's merely the end of the beginning.
Wow. Okay. See, and it just keeps heating up. Like I said, and it has everybody picking sides. Everybody's on sides. Everybody's thinking that they're right. You're wrong. We're good. You're evil. And it's just seeming like a mess. It seems like a big mess. Israel says they achieved major tactical and strategic gains against Iran, but admit they have not secured a full victory. Iran says It has been training for a ground invasion for over 20 years. For more than 2 decades, we have been preparing for this moment. UK to lead a coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Still dealing with that whole thing, the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, Trump did say today that we won again, but he's been saying that. He said that at day 3 we won. It was wiped out. That's what he said. He even said it today. Oh, by third day they were decimated. They were down to just no ships were left. They don't have this left. They don't have that left. Okay, well then if they don't have nothing left, how are they still doing stuff? Help add it up. If they have nothing left, then how is Israel still getting hit last night or the night before? How? By what? They have nothing left. We won. They're decimated. Okay. Then how? How are we continuing to go through this stuff? Just say, okay, well, they do have stuff left. How about say that Iran has stuff left? Why can't we just say that? So of all the Western media, this man is the one who has been real about his news. He doesn't give fake news. He's been honest. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Are you talking about McGregor, who I just showed? Or who are you speaking about? The question is, what did we win? Yeah, I don't know what we won. I don't know I don't know what we're trying to win. I don't know what's been won. Now, if you're trying to stop people from, if you're trying to stop, are you trying to stop Iran from bombing Israel? Are you trying to stop Israel from bombing Iran? Okay. How do you do that? How do you do that? Galloway. I don't know who Galloway is. I don't know who Galloway is. I don't know who Galloway is. They are bombing more effectively now. Okay, so are you saying that they weren't bombing effectively before, Mike? Is that what you're saying? Or believe? Yes, the Strait of Hormuz is open to certain countries. But even with that said, and I heard some statistics over the weekend regarding the Strait of Hormuz, isn't it like 26 miles wide? And then on top of that, if there are mines in the Strait of Hormuz, how do you look out for that? How do you navigate through that, even for those who are allowed to go through? From my perspective, we've done is drop and waste a lot of money. I don't see anything that's changed. The regime is still in power. Yes, they are. The strait is still closed. The man you just showed us, the one in the hat. You're saying that guy is telling the truth. Let me go back to it, in case people are forgetting. The guy in the hat, he's the one who's telling the truth. I'll play it again for you guys. This is who Mohammed is referring to. This guy right here on the left. Okay.
Russia, along with China. There's a complete failure to understand that Gaza is the catalyst for the larger war that's now going to begin against Israel. Every Muslim country is going to come on board against Israel, along with Russia, along with China. I'd be surprised if Mr. Putin doesn't make it very clear to Mr. Netanyahu that if he contemplates using a nuclear weapon, he needs to understand something. If you do this, if you use a nuclear weapon against Iran or anyone in the Middle East, we will use a nuclear weapon against you. I'd be very surprised if he has not already said that. We don't understand what we've walked into because we're not informed. We still think this is 1991. Listen to the rhetoric. I'm ready for peace now. We've made our point. We hope the Iranians understand us and will make peace. Have you lost your mind? The war is now just beginning.
Okay, so that's who you're referring to.
Yes, it's not the beginning of the end. It's merely the end of the beginning.
Okay, that's who you was referring to. All right. So you're saying that Galloway there reports good news. Okay, that's what Mohammed was saying. Israel wasn't intercepting more missiles in the beginning, which is true. Yes. So are they running low on missiles? Are we running low on missiles? Like, everything is just weird. Not knowing the truth. Like, what are we going into? And then how's it going to be fixed? How's it going to like yeah, all that and then some. All that and then some. This is going on. Brandon Geyer was down at the courthouse switching subjects. My man, Brandon Geyer down at the courthouse because in Portland, Oregon, Nick Sorter is there because one of the people that attacked him, got in his face, pushed on him and stuff like that back in October is on trial. So he's at the courthouse. So a lot of people have gone down to the courthouse in Portland to either show support or just kind of report on the activities from outside and inside the courtroom. So let's see what Geyer picked up on today. Let's see this.
Yeah. Oh, hi Pam. What's up, John Hacker? How are you? Want my name so you can dox me? Oh, so you're a right winger? I'm not a right winger, actually. Why would I dox you? Hey Pam, how are you? Who? Nick Sawyer. Sawyer? Who's that? Nick Sawyer? I don't know who Nick Sawyer is. Oh, Nick Sawyer. I'm on my way to go meet with Belly Ray. I will. Well, we don't care about the protesters tonight. You guys are old news. We're gonna go actually try and bust a drug dealer who send threats to homeless women, and he's trying to kill his daughter.
All right, so
because people love us so much.
All your missiles have been used on children in Gaza. I mean, yeah, be careful saying that. I don't know about all that. All your missiles have been used on children in Gaza. That's a stretch, Mohammed. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. I think that's a stretch. I'm not saying that maybe some, but to say all your missiles have been you can send me the evidence. Send me the proof. Send me some footage that shows multiple schools and children being hit. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we don't know, right? Possibility. There's a possibility. I'm just saying. But you got to come with something better than that. I do know that there has been quite a bit. I'm not, like I said, I'm not dismissing what you're saying. And again, but see that again, this goes back to the media, you guys. Even him saying that goes back to the media. What are we seeing and not seeing? What are we seeing and not seeing? I mean, there's things that happen here in our own state, our own country that we don't really see all the time. Like, for instance, many of you guys didn't see what I'm probably getting ready to show you or even knew anything about it. It's only about 15 minutes long, but we don't know much about it. Maybe some do, right? Because some are in the news cycle, they're paying attention, right? But like, where's that? Right here. Let's see this. Hakeem Jeffries holds a press conference this morning. How many of us knew about that? And that's even in our own nation, right? That's just being honest. We didn't even know about this, and he holds a press conference this morning.
Good afternoon, everyone. House
See what he
Democrats
says.
continue to focus on making life better for the American people.
Making America great.
To drive down the high cost of living, to fix our broken healthcare system, to make sure that immigration in this country are in the legislation that is presented. When we've been very clear from the beginning, ICE needs to be brought under control. We cannot have a situation where taxpayer dollars are being used to brutalize and kill American citizens.
There we go. Here we go.
It's not a complicated proposition that we've been fighting hard to achieve. In a country where the American people want immigration enforcement to be fair, just, and humane, we're going to continue to make sure that there are secure borders. But we do have a broken immigration system, and we should fix it. Let's do it in a comprehensive and bipartisan way. But what this Trump administration has done, trying to jam these extreme mass deportation, violent policies down the throats of the American people, is unacceptable.
Let me stop. I want to stop.
And it's
I will look that up, Mohammed, as we're watching this. But I got to ask you a question in regards to mass deportations here in America. What's your view on that? And I'm going to ask you that based off, because it sounds like you either live in Iran or you're from Iran, and it sounds like you have defended the Ayatollah. So let me ask you this. Don't lie. You're under oath. I'm just playing. You're not under oath, but do you believe in mass deportation? Do you believe that people should come to America the correct way? What would they do in your country, in Iran, if people came there and the incorrect way? And I know the answer, but I just want to see what your thought is, your opinion on that.
Non-sustainable thing at this point in time.
Thank you, Lady Jeffries. So if a deal does emerge that doesn't include a ban on masks or judicial or the involvement of judicial warrants, is that going to be a no for you and House Democrats?
Well, it's a question as to what is actually funded and what's not funded. Now, we have a discharge petition that is live right now, already north of 125 signatures or so, working to complete that process over the next few days. That would make sure that we pay TSA agents, that we fund the Coast Guard, that we fund FEMA, and that we fund cybersecurity professionals who are working hard to keep us safe. If we can't get to a resolution this week, as it relates to the type of changes that are necessary to get ICE under control. Now, if it's that type of agreement, then of course there's going to be strong Democratic support. It's consistent with the legislation that Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro has already introduced and that we're working hard to force an up or down vote on the House floor. If it's something different, then it remains to be seen how House Democrats will react. We'll have to have a conference, a caucus meeting to discuss it.
A couple questions about the SAVE Act. Is there any concern opposition to the SAVE Act may give the perception your party is against voter ID, which has some popularity across the country? And also, what do you make of president voting by mail, as the SAVE Act seems to try to stop voting by mail?
Yeah, we have made clear repeatedly that we support voter identification laws. And here in this country, elections are administered by states and localities, and each state and locality has the ability to determine what is the most appropriate form of voter identification that should be required for their citizens to participate in voting in that state. New York State has very strong voter identification laws, which I support, and which does facilitate voting that allows for maximum participation by citizens, while at the same period of time ensuring that the elections are free and fair. This is a states' right issue. What happened to the days when Republicans actually supported states' rights? These people are phony. And the example right now, amongst many, is the fact that for years, Donald Trump has been railing against voting by mail, only to turn around and vote by mail. in the special election that's taking place today in Florida. That's king-like behavior. Rules for me that don't apply, but not for thee. That's his position. And this legislation, the so-called SAVE Act, has nothing to do with ensuring that elections are conducted with integrity. Donald Trump and Republicans who are in the midst of running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, if not the world, want to lecture us about integrity, get lost.
Yeah.
They've got zero credibility on the voting issue or on any of these issues. This is all about trying to prevent a midterm massacre at the polls, because Republicans know they have failed the American people. They have failed to lower the high cost of living. Life is more expensive. They've broken our healthcare system. They're spending billions of dollars to drop bombs.
Mohammed, you said, I've been hearing about Trump's MAGA. Do you believe Trump is a racist? In fact, just watch at all the MAGA fans are all racist. That's not true. After that mass deportation we saw on television where farmers were complaining about their harvest, their farm produce were spoiled and everything wasn't going well within the country. But okay, so we're already having a breakdown of communication. I asked a specific question, and you didn't answer it. And now we're going, if I was going to ask you about Trump being racist, I'd ask you, hey, do you think Trump is racist? But I asked you about agreement or disagreement about mass deportation, about laws and about rules in America, and what your rules are for Iran. Does Iran allow people just to come in their country, or is there rules? So if people came into Iran illegally, let's just say that. Let's not talk about people who are there. Let's just start with people coming in illegally. What would you want your government to get people out of there if they came in illegally? It's a yes or no. So if that's the case, then you'd be in agreement with mass deportation here and people coming in illegally to America. Or do you think that America should have it open for people? It's pretty simple.
In the Middle East won't spend a dime to make life more affordable for the American people, and they've been losing elections for the last 15 months. And so Republicans have concluded that we better try to jam this so-called Save America Act down the throats of the American people as part of our continuing schemes to rig the midterm election. We're not going to let it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. During the last shutdown last fall, you mentioned that Republicans wouldn't be able to move forward without approval from the president. It was part of the argument that you and Leader Schumer made to have the meeting in the Oval Office with the president. Senate Republicans told me this morning that the president has signed off on the offer that Senate Republicans have sent to Senate Democrats. Is the president's sign off part of the calculus that Democrats will have as they decide how to move forward? If you still believe that Republicans, especially in the House, can't do anything without the president's permission, how important will his sign-off be in any decision that Democrats make on how to move forward on this issue?
We'll come back to him. So I totally disagree with mass deportations. So you would agree that anybody can come to Iran? You agree with that, and not to deport them? So is that fair? If you disagree with mass deportations, you would disagree with mass deportations if the Ayatollah was doing such thing, which I know he would, right? Because there's rules within Iran. There's rules within Iran. Trust me, and the rules you guys have in Iran are a lot stricter than the rules here because you guys go off of religion based, faith based. America doesn't. So the rules you have in Iran are more stricter, more legal, if you want to say even legalistic. I hate to even say that word, but they're more by the book than America. So you'd be against mass deportation in Iran. Okay. In fact, the foreigners contribute. Now, who are the foreigners? Because now it sounds like you're flipping it to something else. The foreigners contribute massively to the United States economy. Do you agree with me? Are you saying foreigners as far as who, like other governments, Israel, if you want to say that? Is that what you're implying? So in fact, Israel contribute massively to the United States economy. Do you agree? Or who? China? But you totally disagree with mass deportation. Okay. So then that has to be fair with Iran then. You have to keep it fair. If that's where you're from, which you haven't even said if that's where you're from or if you live there.
We know,
DHS funding.
yeah, well, listen, we know it's an irrefutable fact that House Republicans can't do anything without getting permission from Donald Trump. House Republicans don't work for the American people. They work for Donald Trump. They've demonstrated that repeatedly. They are nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. And so part of the reason why there haven't been fruitful or successful negotiations for more than 30 days in the midst of the Trump Republican shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, which is now inconveniencing millions of travelers all across the country, is because Donald Trump hasn't given them the sign off to sit down and have a conversation with Democrats to actually negotiate a resolution that's consistent with our values on all the things, including immigration enforcement. And so we'll evaluate the proposal. Nothing has been presented to me yet, so there's nothing for us to evaluate as it relates to any direct communication with Mike Johnson or Republicans. But if there is something to evaluate, I'll have the conversation with Leader Schumer. We'll talk to our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Details are going to be important in terms of what's funded and what's not funded in the absence of meaningful, bold, or dramatic changes that need to be made to rein ICE in and get them under control.
And just on you not speaking to Leader Schumer yet, do you just attribute it to the fact that you all are just getting back today, or are you still in regular communication?
Yeah, we're in regular communication. I was on the road yesterday. It's my expectation to talk to him later on this afternoon.
Okay, so we have had mass deportations in the past. Just look at Obama, and it didn't look anything like what is happening today because this is made for TV. There is a way to do it that's civilized and humane, correct? So the big difference between now and when Obama was in is technology, right? You have millions and millions and millions, probably billions of people on platforms all across the world. Internet's faster. We're not dealing with dial-up. We're not dealing with AOL. That's that. And the political climate wasn't where during Obama, it was not nearly as close as to where it's at now. Meaning all of us on here are daily watching politics, paying attention, watching the news, watching what's happening in Portland, watching what's happening in LA, watching what's happening at airports, watching what's happening overseas, watching what's happening in New York. We weren't doing that when Obama was in office. Some were, but I'd say not the world, not our country. Our country is involved in a political realm like no other. And we're seeing it in real time. So that's, in my opinion, that's the difference between then and now with Obama. We weren't seeing the live streams. We weren't seeing the videos as much as we can see it now. So I think that's some of the big difference with where it was at with Obama. everybody can go to where they like. This is Mohammed responding to me and I think another person. Everybody can go to where they like, and I don't think it is better option to deport people just because they are not, I mean, legitimate people or white people. I don't get it. It makes sense. They did it to understand that it was targeted to a certain race. In fact, the ICE, or what do you call them? They oppose a lot of people. Everybody can go. Are you saying everybody can go where they like in Iran? But you still can't come in illegally. Um, and people focus on the. I don't know. People focus on the color thing, right? I don't understand why people focus, and even you, Mohammed, you're focused on the color thing. So if people come from Southern America, yeah, they're going to there's a certain quote unquote color they are, right? If people come from Russia, it's a certain color that they are. If people come from Asia, because again, all these countries that where people are coming from, that's their culture, that's their heritage, that's what they look like. That's it's not a color thing, it's a crime thing. You're coming into another country illegally, right? If people come from Africa, Nigeria, they're my complexion or darker. Yeah, that's the fact. I mean, yeah, it's a color thing, but that's not why they're being, if you want to say targeted or arrested or detained or picked up. That's not why they're being targeted. So to me, the race thing and saying it's because of their color, that's not the fact. Because if it's because of their color, then why isn't the black community, the American black community, being targeted? If it's about color, because it's not about color, it's not about, right? They didn't literally target illegal immigrants, but also a whole lot of people were targeted, those with papers and illegal to stay in the country. They went after them. I don't know why might have been their issue. I don't know why might have been their issue. They didn't literally target illegal immigrants. Yes, I know for a fact that they were. Now, I don't think so as much, but the mass deportation did have to do with targeting illegal immigrants. It absolutely did. And people got mad, and it's not targeted illegal immigrants anymore. So and to be honest, like at this point, doesn't even matter. I mean, the mass deportations is gone, right? I know why, but the it's not happening like it was. Is deportation still happening? Still going to happen? Yes, but it's not like it was. So all that's out the window. If you want to say the left won on that case, fine, or on that situation, fine. If you want to say the Democrats won, if you want to say that the right won, whatever you want to say, the mass deportations is no longer happening. Okay, is not. So, yeah, and I don't even understand even this right here myself. I don't understand this. The Native Americans have been picked up by ICE. I don't understand that myself. I don't know why Native Americans would be picked up by ICE. Oh, I don't. That don't make sense to me. That does not make sense to me unless it's something else. Yeah, that don't make sense to me. Biden opened up the floodgates, so we needed to reverse it. Correct. And that's where and so Muhammad right here is where the mass deportation comes in, because Biden opened up the gates, and there's proof of that. I know that for a fact. I was at the border. I saw it happen with my own eyes. Again, we're supposed to see things with our own eyes. I saw it happen with my own eyes, right? Just for a couple nights. And I know people who are there much longer than me. So I saw it happen. So it does need to be reversed. At least I think it should be reversed. And that's not, again, a race thing. That's just what happens, because that's what came into our country is different ethnicities. It wasn't really quote unquote white people coming in to America illegally. It was from the South, and people intentionally went to the South and came up through the southern borders.
Thanks, Leader Jeffries. You've mentioned ICE a number of times. You haven't mentioned CBP, but that's part of the DeLauro bills. You're withholding funding from ICE and CBP. It's our understanding that the deal that's emerging over in the Senate would fund CBP in full. Is that a red line over here? Does CBP have to be a part of this broader enforcement mechanism that you want to withhold funding from until you get these reforms?
Yeah, my opposition relates to ICE and Donald Trump's violent, extreme mass deportation machine. And to the extent that any other parts of DHS are part of it, then there's got to be dramatic changes that are made.
Okay.
And in my view, funds withheld until that period of time.
Okay, so hold on. He said Donald Trump's what, violent team of some sort? I'm paraphrasing.
Changes that are made, and in my view, funds withheld until that period of time. Dramatic changes that are made are part of it, then there's got to be, and to the extent that any other parts of DHS are part of it, then there's got to be dramatic changes that are made, and in my view, funds withheld until that period of time. If there are restrictions that have been built into the legislative proposal that apparently Republicans have presented or are prepared to present to us, then we'll take a look at that. Deportation machine. Position relates to ICE and Donald Trump's violent, extreme Republicans have presented.
Extreme. So Donald Trump's violent, extreme, whatever, his thing. So what made them violent? How are they violent? Or how are they extreme? Were they extreme? Why were they violent? When did it become violent? If we can be honest, let's be honest, Hakeem. Have you and your party encouraged just any recollection? Let's take a walk down memory lane. Has you or your party ever encouraged people to stand up and resist and to fight back against authority? Against authority, right? Because you actually see it in the school system. You actually see it with children who are defiant, who are rebellious, and you see it within older people who are at protest, people who are fighting ICE agents, people who, even before ICE, let's forget ICE for a minute. Let's forget ICE. Let's forget about ICE. Because the whole ICE thing, all this talk is fairly new, right? Over the past year and a half, fairly new. So let's go back even before ICE. Did your people, such as Maxine Waters, Omar, what's the other whack one out there? Anyway, did any of them ever say, hey, stand up, fight back? I think so. Did any of you guys ever encourage, inspire people to stand up against police officers and to fight police officers, which is authority? It's authority figure. Not saying I like them, not saying I dislike them, but the fact is, did you ever say that? Well, yes, you did. Do you think that bleeds over when it comes to any other sort of authority? I mean, within your party, within that group, within the whole, children can have a voice. Children can say anything that they want. Children can make their own rules, their own things. How about we just put we set a foundation where nobody has to listen to authority, including children. So now when we fast forward another 8 years, 10 years from back in 2016, 2014, Ferguson, right? We're already set a tone. We're now 12 years past Ferguson. Some people are 12 years old. Some people are 18 years old, right? A couple generations, perhaps, at least a generation. These people are saying, hey, we don't have to listen to nobody. We've been taught since we were 5 years old in 2014 that we don't have to listen to authority. So we were 5 years old at the time in 2014. It's now 12 years later. We're 18 years old. You're going to tell me I have to listen to a police officer, especially an ICE agent? No, I don't have to listen to authority. Well, do you think that this radical, extreme organization from the Trump people are going to end up doing something if people are not obeying simple orders? Hey, just show me your ID. Well, I don't have to show you my ID. Who are you to tell me? I want to run from you. I want to do this. Yeah, things probably could turn violent. We see that stupid stuff happening on the most basic of level, where no authority is involved. And now you ante it up to authority is involved. Yeah, there's probably going to be some unfortunate situations that happen. Who's to blame for that, though? It's kind of like other situations that where do you start with all this? How do you start with blaming? How do you blame? And how come everything's a blame nowadays instead of somebody saying, yeah, this was my actions. This is what I actually did. This is how I contributed to a bad situation. How come nobody does that no more? It's all just blaming this side or that side. They're good. We're evil. We're evil. They're good. And nobody says, okay, this is what I actually did. This was my take. This was my part in such behavior or such result. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Why? You want to get down to the bottom of the things, you have to get to the root. How does it start? But nobody wants to take responsibility and say, oh, well, this was what I did. No, it's just them. I was using my first speech. I was using my stand my ground. I was doing this. I was doing that. It's their fault. Their fault. Well, they're the racists. If they weren't racist, then I wouldn't speak. And if I wouldn't have spoken, then I wouldn't have got triggered. Like, seriously, like, nobody takes responsibility of what they actually do. Nobody does. And here he is again, trying to say Trump and his crazy machine of ICE agents, but yet again, going back because something created this monster of people being able to defy law enforcement, defy agents, defy police, be rebellious. And I started seeing this stuff even back in early 2000s, late 90s. I was hearing about people in school doing stuff to teachers. And I'm like, why is that happening? Back in the early 2000s, you guys, 25 years ago, and now we're expecting it to reverse and it be different and that people should listen to authority and law enforcement. It's been trained and groomed years ago that, hey, child, hey, hey, Susie, hey, Hakeem, you don't have to obey. You don't have to listen to what the teacher tells you to do. You're your own person. You do what you want to do. Your feelings matter. Oh, I don't have to listen to my feelings. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do this. I don't have to listen to you. My feelings matter. It becomes your lifestyle until you decide at your own person to change and make a and be what you should be. But other than that, it's do what you want to do. It was groomed for 25 years, and here we are 25 years later. So you can't sit here and just blame Trump. Okay, maybe there's some aspects to it. It's true. But now let's also look at what have you done to create that as well? What was your part? Where did you contribute? Well, maybe I shouldn't have told people that to defy and fight back and rebel. Maybe you should have been more crystal clear on what peaceful protesting actually means. Maybe you shouldn't have been saying, hey, burn it and joined up with Maxine Waters saying burn it down. Perhaps, right? Because it sets a tone. It sets something. Right? Then it gets passed on and we know how energy works. We know how crowd works. Right? We know that people can inspire. We know people can encourage. We know people can instigate. We know people can agitate. Right? Use downtown Portland. You have music playing. You have sound playing. You have a DJ playing. You have different sides. One side, and nobody wants to take responsibility whatsoever. You have DJs who are instigating crowd, amping a crowd up, agitating a crowd, encouraging a crowd because of their positions on where they stand. You have another group of people being agitators and this and that. Oh, let's clash. And then now let's blame each other whose fault it is. Really? Blame each other? But no one wants to say, hey, I was agitating. Well, I was instigating. Nobody does that at all. Well, they did this first. Well, they did that first. Well, the DJ was saying this. Well, that person was saying this. If words are going to bother all of us, well, then I guess all of us should just be in a war with each other because words are going to hurt our feelings. Well, I'm not going to let nobody punk me. I'm not going to let nobody say that about me. Really? I guess. I guess.
Or are prepared to present to us, then we'll take a look at that.
Last week, you sort of floated or teased a war powers resolution. Can you share any more details on the contours of that resolution?
Yeah, we're in ongoing conversations with Greg Meeks and Jim Himes and Adam Smith about
seems lazy.
Moving forward with a war powers resolution sooner rather than later. When we present something on the floor, it's our determination to win. We need to end this. The House needs to act. Billions of dollars in taxpayer money should not be spent in dropping bombs in the Middle East right now when life is unaffordable for the American people. These extremist Republicans have made life more expensive. The Trump tariffs have made life more expensive. This war is dramatically increasing gas prices all across the country.
That's true.
In an environment where their refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits has dramatically increased health insurance premiums for more than 20 million Americans directly, and tens of millions of Americans who get health care from their employer indirectly. This has been a train wreck. We have to get America back on track. And it's our commitment as Democrats to do that. And part of that is going to involve making sure we can pass a war powers resolution on the floor that succeeds on the floor and led by Greg Meeks. That's what we're working to do.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. What do you think about airlines like Delta cutting off these special perks for members of Congress while the shutdown is going on?
We need to resolve the issue of paying TSA agents, and we should pay them now. This is not that complicated. Not a day should go by before we get that done this week. And I'm unconcerned with any services being cut off at this point to members of Congress, our focus should be on everyday Americans, on hardworking federal employees, and on TSA agents. And we need to get this done this week. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Leader.
That made about 0 sense. I mean, yeah, 15 minutes for doing what? 15-minute what? That looks like a mall. What is that? That's still the airport. Houston. Is that 01? Where's that one at? Atlanta. It looks like a mall. ICE agents. When was this? Must have been a few hours ago too. Anywho. Let's do this for a second. This is Atlanta from earlier. Waiting in line. Yeah. Yep. This is a very interesting and complex statement. There's ICE agents here, at least ICE scanning. So they're just watching. It's more crowd control, it appears. That's what it appears like, at least in this footage. It looks like a mall. All America. So this here, Ed Eagle, words are not violent, but when you push it from words to mob rule and tactics to get a reaction is when violence starts. And it's true. Part of that's true. But here's the thing about words. Words are not violent, which is 100% correct. But what happens with words mixed with tone and body language is where violence starts to happen and where mob rules start to happen. So it's not necessarily the word itself, but I'm telling you guys, tone and body language speaks way further than your words. Way further than your words. Body language is the number one communication. The number one communication is body language. We always talk about words and things like that. Body language is number one communication. I'd say after the body communication would probably be tone to the words. More than likely, it's tone to the words. And all this type of stuff, regarding ICE is completely happening. Portland ICE, wherever, protest, it's always happening is the body language, tone, and what is said in that tone. Always. Always, always. It's all for show. People better have faith and trust in the Lord for what lies ahead. Amen. People will soon come to realize why we are called to walk by faith and not by sight. Yeah, looks like these guys are just doing more crowd control. And I appreciate you guys all for being on today. Just like I said, trying to catch up on some news and do what I've been doing, reporting stuff, showing stuff. You guys remember the first night, 23 days ago on here, and the attack happened while we were live on here. So, I don't know if there was anything else that really popped off. You had the long lines. Oh, there was a press conference there about the wreckage at LaGuardia Airport. Earlier today, docking of Russia's cargo spacecraft to the International Space Station. That happened earlier up up on our flat earth or round earth or whatever you want to say. That, did you guys know that creates fights as well and conflict? Did you guys know that? Did you know that round earth, flat earth also creates fights and tension? Of all things. Of all things. I hear a drone. Possible drone flying around Beirut skies. Beirut. Um, let's see what else. I know Alex is on talking about stuff. Talking about though, really, I don't know what he's really talking about. CPAC starts tomorrow. I am not going. Wanted to, but I'm not going to CPAC. Didn't have the funds to do it, so not doing that. Not doing the CPAC. Let's see what he Dom Luker, breaker of narratives. He has a pretty big following on X. He's on X. See what he has to say. I gotta do something in a minute, so I'm gonna have to put on one of the live feeds for a little while. I step away.
Okay.
This is him saying something about I might lose a lot of followers, but this needs to be said about religious freedoms. I wonder if he's in the same bracket that I'm in. I don't know. Same, coming from the same place, might be.
Okay, there's a chance I might lose some subscribers on this, but I feel like it needs to be said. There's so much division right now in the world between Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And it's a topic, like I said on my Twitter, it breaks my heart so much because I've studied religion pretty much as long as I've been able to read. And for what I've learned, and you guys are here, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Muslims, Christians, and Jews are family. We serve the same Father. They're called Abrahamic religions. You can verify this through many preachers, Google, AI, whatever. Jews, Christians, and Muslims, they have Abrahamic religion, meaning we have the same Father. Now, what we call him might be different. Christians call him Yahweh. Jews call him Hashem, Elohim, all these other things.
Yep, you spot
and
on.
Muslims famously call him Allah.
Allah.
A lot of people aren't aware Allah is just a translation for the word God.
I said that.
Unique or specific God. Now, what makes us Christians different is we honor the Son. And, we just, long story short, we honor the Son. Nonetheless, I feel like the amount of division that we have is somewhat like a family that's constantly fighting. We might have the same parents, but our ways to serve them, or at least to live our life and to maintain our households, is completely different. But I think if we could all start to accept that we have some type of unification, that we have the same Father, and stop the narratives that this person is vastly different from us because of the way that they believe, I think we could get a lot of peace. But this is where the backlash is going to come more than anything else I've said. With all that being said, I believe Islam specifically is incompatible with the West. Now, when I first started being a content creator, I wasn't necessarily with that. I've always been a conservative since I was 6 years old. I was like, we should accept all religions, allow all people to evolve and live freely in the United States. But the problem being is Muslims specifically are doing something that, Freemasons speak against. A lot of people like to speak against Freemasons, but They don't believe in asking people to join. Muslims are famously convincing people to become Muslim, convert, and starting to do a lot of staging to make the religion look cool or make the religion look based. And we've seen this start a lot in 2022. And now it's became something that's just culturally accepted to become Muslim. And what has it led to? People praying in the middle of New York. If it's anyone, they're the one that's incompatible because they, of course, they're raising life on us.
That's good. He's good. I don't know where it stopped, why it stopped, but yeah, it's true. Everything he said there was true. Honestly, everything he just said there and spoke about was fairly much true. Um, um, yeah. So funniest thing is that Iran will launch a drone worth about 30,000 and America will use $4 million worth of thing to shoot it down. I mean, that is kind of funny. You're not gonna, that's true. All right, you guys, I got to step away for a bit. I'm going to keep this live going of Beirut when I get back. There's looks like there was a bomb that also hit. Oh, that's that's an older video. Hold on. There's another. There was a bomb that hit. That's Jerusalem. Here's Beirut. Yeah, you can hear the drone up above. You probably hear gunshots happening. So we'll play this for a little while, and I'll be black. I'll be black, you guys. Okay. Yeah, black. Okay, I'll be back. Sorry. All right. Thank you, you guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure again, you guys like, subscribe, and share. If you guys would like to help with anything, me getting places, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, buy me a coffee, give us and go. Everything is the BC Preacher. Obviously, I've been doing this stuff for years, you guys. Not new to this, been places, seen things, great interviews, great guests. Also, other ways to contribute is super chats and to become a member, be doing Bible studies and stuff like that with panels and other great people. I'm working on trying to bring on a special guest who got caught up in a situation back in 2017-18 for a gun incident in the city of Portland. Trying to work on bringing him on. Very close. I've already spoken to him, so that's in the works. So I'll be doing something here shortly with that, but those are ways you guys can contribute. So I appreciate you guys. I will be back shortly.
لا عم تمزحوا له عم تمزحوا يا بس قصدي انا لاي متى يعني مش هيك بدهم يطلعوا بالحاسمية على الانذار. ايه لا بالاستوديو الحاسمية.
حتى الطاسة على راسي كده.
يا
إيه.
بس عندي نفس سؤال عن جد، ليه بعدكم بالحلقة؟ ليه عم بتدقوني من الحلقة إذا هلا رح تبلش النشرة؟ بعدين ما بتعرف تحكيني عن خاص؟ رح تجلطيني تكتبي لي على الجروب؟ لا حبيبتي لا حسسي. طب إذا حتختم ليه عم تطلبيني؟ ما أنا عندي نشرة. يا أختي إذا عندي نشرة أنا هلا ليه عم تطلعيني هون؟
ما بتطولين. يلا يلا يا
عم يطلبوني وبدها تختم سمر. طب إذا بدها تختم ليه عم تطلبوني؟ لا تجي وحدة بتكتب غارة من مسيرة على الظهر، أسبى مخلوق بالعالم. لا 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 لا. ايه حاجة لا 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 لا. ايه شو هيدا عاملين معه؟ لا عن جد بدي اعرف انه هيدا
صار رابع مرة هاي الدخان شو
في لمعة شو هي؟
هذا الدخان يسوى بيروت ما لا تطلع لمعة بعيد هذا دخل بيروت ما بيروت معك
عندهم العرب الجديد مش هون على التي
في دخلة بيروت هذه في شيء هون ببيروت شوف دخلة وفي لمعة
ابو شاكر نحن صرنا مقدمه ايه؟ نعم، مساء الخير للدالية وجميع المشاهدين. مجددا إنذار جديد هو الإنذار الروتيني الذي اعتدنا عليه للضاحية الجنوبية بمختلف ومعظم المناطق في الضاحية الجنوبية. وجهه جيش العدو الإسرائيلي منذ ساعة من الآن، وحتى هذه اللحظة لم ينفذ هجماته على الضاحية، علما أنه يسمع بشكل كثيف صوت إطلاق النار في سماء الضاحية الجنوبية. أيضا هنالك صوت يعني بشكل واضح لتحليق للمسيرات التي تحلق على علو منخفض ومتوسط. بدأت هذه المسيرات يسمع صوتها بشكل أوضح منذ قرابة الساعتين. وأيضا يعني يبدو أنه هذه هنالك في إصرار شديد من جيش العدو الإسرائيلي على تهجير قسري لأهالي الضاحية وتجديد هذا الإنذار، خاصة أنه هذا الإنذار في هنالك عبارتين بتنا يعني نعتاد عليهما منذ قرابة الأيام، اللي هي بقوة متزايدة وأعذر من أنذر. إذا يرفق جيش العدو الإسرائيلي هاتين العبارتين على بيانه الذي أصدره منذ قليل، ويتضمن هذا البيان حارة حريك للدبيري، الليلكي، الحدث، برج البراجي، تحميطة الغدير، الشياح، وهي يعني تعتبر المساحة الكبيرة الجغرافية في الضاحية الجنوبية. نسمع أيضا كنا منذ قليل صوت لهدير الصاروخ منذ قرابة أكثر من ساعة قبل هذا الإنذار، ولكن يبدو أن هذا الصاروخ لم ينفجر. أيضا كان في هنالك تواردت بعض المعلومات عن لربما انفجار حدث إن كان في شامون أو عرمون. يجب التأكيد أنه هذا الانفجار أو هذه يعني الغارة اللي كان تم الحديث عنها لم تحصل. إذا لا يوجد أي غارة قد وقعت على شامون أو حتى عرمون. هذه معلومات مؤكدة، وما سمع هو فقط صوت لسيارات الإسعاف التي توجهت بشكل روتيني. هو إجراء يعني غالبا ما يتم يعني القيام به حين تتضارب المعلومات عن وجود غارة حتى ولو كانت غير مؤكدة. إذا يعني هذه الأجواء، هدوء حذر يخيم على الضاحية الجنوبية باستثناء خرق لتحليق على علو منخفض للمسيرات بشكل ملحوظ وواضح. أيضا نلاحظ يعني كان في هنالك الليلة السابقة كانت عنيفة جدا، 7 غارات استهدفت الضاحية الجنوبية. انتهت الغارة الأخيرة التي شنها جيش العدو الإسرائيلي في فجر يوم أمس كانت عند قرابة الساعة 3. اليوم هل يعني يبدو أنه جيش العدو يكرر هذه لربما سيكرر هذه الهجمات، خاصة وأنه في هنالك إنذار، ولكن عادة هذا الإنذار ليس من المؤكد أن تكون الهجمات يعني بعد ساعة أو ساعتين، لربما سننتظر أكثر من ذلك. يعني هذه هي الأجواء من هنا من محيط الضاحية الجنوبية. سنوافيكم بالمزيد من التفاصيل فور وجودها. داليا.
Okay, you guys, I got to get off for a while. I'll try to come back on a little bit later. I do have to get off. I got to do some things, and people need a computer. So, I could have kept your audience entertained. Just saying. All right. Maybe later. So appreciate y'all. Again, like, subscribe, and share, please. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll come back on a little bit later to do a little bit more update or something this evening. Maybe I'll bless only Mr. Bill and come on his show. I don't know. I said maybe. Don't hold that. I don't mean it. I mean maybe. So, all right, you guys, let me get out of here. God bless you. Thank you. Love y'all. I'll see you later.